everyone to the Nickel City Mafia YouTube channel. Please be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, drop a nickel on that subscribe button for Jake and I. We greatly appreciate it. I'm Mike Thornton, and joining me as always is the best X&O guy in the business, Mr. Jake Podger. Jake, how you doing, man?
I'm fantastic, Mike. I was just telling you a little sick April Fool's joke, early April Fool's for us here in Buffalo. 2 days ago, we're high 50s. We're sitting pretty, thinking maybe it's shorts weather, and wake up this morning to about 3 inches on the ground of snow. So very unfortunate here. Shout out to my parents. They're down in Siesta Key. I know you just got back from Hawaii, so you guys are probably, little adjustment to California, I guess, but probably similar temperature-wise at least.
Yeah.
But, man, what a world.
Yeah, I know. Not quite as humid out here in California as it was in Hawaii. And we got back late Friday night, and we jammed a lot of things in 5 days. And I'm glad we came back early because I need these 2 days to recover before I start back at work tomorrow. But it was a good time with the family. First time that they were in Hawaii. I'd been to Maui before, but we went to Oahu, which was just fantastic. So good time. Glad to be back, though. I'll tell you, there's nothing like getting back to your own bed after a vacation, right?
That's right.
So we got a big show today, Jake. It's been a while, I think a little over 3 weeks, maybe even closer to 4 weeks since we did our last show. We're going to go through our free agency reactions, kind of talk about at each position, who we lost, who we added. And then we're going to have a little fun with a quick little mock draft. And you and I are going to do more mock drafts in the future, but we're going to do a quick one. And we're going to do a 3-rounder. I'm going to let you go pick 1 and 3. I'll take number 2. So that should be fun. And then we'll talk about some of these big changes that have happened. I mean, so much has changed in the last 3 weeks. It's unbelievable. We'll touch on that at the end of the show for those that stick around and talk about that as well. So, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it, Mike. Let's do it.
All right, let's jump over here. Let's get into it. All right. So, starting off with the quarterback position, Jake, we lost Mitch Trubisky, as we knew. I mean, we talked about this earlier before this show. And we knew we were going to lose Mitch. We lost him to the Steelers, and we lost Davis Webb to the Giants. We added Case Keenum from the Browns, and we added Matt Barkley from the Falcons. So I'm going to ask you on every one of these slides, and I'll give you my opinion. Is this an upgrade, a downgrade, or are we pretty much a wash across the board? What's your thoughts here?
So originally I was thinking, and this is, you know what, I love Mitchell Trubisky a lot. Originally, my mind actually said it was an upgrade, but I don't think it actually is. I think this is actually more of a wash, and I'm just weighing the 2 quarterbacks versus 2 quarterbacks here. I think Mitchell is better than both of those guys, Case and Matt Barkley. I think he's got a shot to start for Pittsburgh. He's in a really good situation there. But Case Keenum does have that starting experience. He had to start last year, actually. I think he started 1 or 2 games for the Browns. And, I mean, this guy, he's got some rapport with Stephon Diggs, which is great. The Minneapolis Miracle, if you remember a few years back, 2017.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal play. I think he's a very serviceable guy. Obviously, a guy that can come in and start for you if he need be. Hopefully, he doesn't have to play at all. But I love it. I think it's a great trade. 7th rounder for Case Keenum. That's phenomenal. So I'm good with that. I'll take it. I mean, it sucks that we lost Mitchell. We knew it was going to happen, but happy for him. He's about to have a baby. He's going to be starting for the Steelers potentially. He's got to compete with Dwayne Haskins and a couple others, Mason Rudolph. But it'll be really interesting to see what happens there. But, as far as it goes for us, I'm glad to see that, Matt Barkley's back in town too. I know Josh Allen was super pumped about that. I know Bills Mafia love Matt Barkley. I mean, that guy is a sideline warrior, getting the crowd fired up, always standing on top of the bench, trying to get the crowd into the game. So absolutely love that for him. I mean, it's a good situation. Another guy who can actually come in and play if he needs to. He has starting experience. His touchdown to interception ratio is atrocious, but he actually played pretty well when he was here with Buffalo. So pretty happy with what we did there. I think he's an upgrade from Davis Webb. I can at least say that. But familiar in the sense of more of like that guy who might be a quarterback's coach when he retires. So Davis Webb already looks like a quarterback's coach. I don't know if you saw him on the sidelines last year. I mean, guy has the backwards hat, the frontwards hat, whatever he had going on, headset on. He looked like he was into it. So I like what we did there. The Mitchell Trubisky thing was inevitable, like I said, but we did a really nice job of getting Josh some good guys to be able to fill in, and preseason guys for sure.
Yeah, for me, I'll take a little different spin here. For me, it's a slight downgrade, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't know, I felt comfortable with Mitch. I feel like you don't have to change your offense a whole lot. I mean, he's mobile, good arm, young, right? And he had experience. He had about 3 years, and I think that was just a rare case to get him as our backup last year. That doesn't normally happen, right?
At the price tag, too,
right?
$2.5 million.
That type of player. Davis Webb, actually, if you look deeper at his stats, I mean, he was drafted pretty high, and I forget where he was drafted. I want to say the Giants. So I might be wrong, but he's the size of Allen. If you look at his 40-yard time, he's just slightly slower than Josh. Now, of course, he doesn't have the arm that Josh does, but who does, right?
Who has
that?
Yeah.
So for me, it's just a slight downgrade, and only because of those reasons. I feel both these guys were mobile, and you don't have to change your offense too much. I feel like if Case has to come in, you're changing your offense quite a bit. He's not mobile. He does have that veteran experience, but again, so for me, and then Barkley, I get it. I mean, I guess I saw the fans react great. We're getting Barkley. They're super happy. And is that because more of the sideline cheerleader type guy?
Oh yeah, he loves Buffalo. He's all about it. And I think him and Josh Allen, they have such a good relationship. So that was a natural fit for him. I'm really happy he's back. That's just a great thing.
So, okay, because for me, I'm like, okay, he's really, neither one of these guys have done much since they've left Buffalo. What's the excitement? And again, not being there in Buffalo, I don't see that side of things sometimes. So I'm glad you explained that to me. Tanya, good stuff there. You're saying it's
I'm saying it's a wash. I'll say
okay.
That's a wash. I mean, Mitchell has the potential to be really good. He actually wasn't even bad in Chicago. We saw what happened in Chicago this past year. Mitchell Trubisky looks like a god because what he was able to do on that Matt Nagy offense. I mean, he actually had a Pro Bowl. He had a Pro Bowl season, threw for 3,800 yards the one year. I don't think he's a bad quarterback at all, but obviously things just didn't really go well there. So, came in Buffalo, didn't do much. Obviously, Josh was in 100% of the time, basically. He came in during the Colts game and threw a pick. But, I think Mitchell has a bright future for sure. But time will tell.
Yeah, he got his opportunity to shine in preseason against his old team and did quite well. And then, I think he came in once or twice. Did he throw a touchdown as well?
He ran for one. I think he ran for one. And actually, I believe I said during the pregame show, I said Mitchell Trubisky's going to run for a touchdown, and I was so fired up when it happened.
You did for sure. And I agree with you. I think Mitch, in the right organization, he's gonna shine. I think he's gonna do very well. The Steelers set up well for him. They got a good running game. They got some good weapons around him. And if he gets the starting job, which I think he will, I think he's gonna do quite well. So I wish him all the best. All right, well, let's move on to the running back here. We got a little excited, and so we lost Matt Breida and Antonio Williams, and we added Duke Johnson. We thought we had J.D. McKissick for a while, and then he just pulled the rug from out under us and decided to stay with Washington when they said, hey, where are you going? We were going to match that. So he stayed where he was. But, so we lost Matt Breida and Antonio Williams, both of them going to the Giants. Dable hey, I'll bring you guys over here. Come on, follow me. And then we picked up Duke Johnson from the Dolphins, who last year was mostly on the practice squad until late in the year, and they brought him in, and he actually did quite well in the few games that he played. He started because they had some injury issues. So your thoughts on this here?
I think it's a great move. I absolutely love it. Obviously injuries have been a thing that's happened in the past with him, but that's your pass catching back right there. I love the move. Obviously, very disappointed we couldn't get J.D. McKissick. I had him on 3 of my fantasy teams too, so there's a little connection there. But to get Duke Johnson, I think at a cheaper price too, I will take that all day. And if you actually look at their stats side by side over the last 4 seasons, Duke Johnson has a ton more catches than J.D. McKissick. Now, J.D., as of late, has definitely been more productive, but he's also been on the field. Duke has been injured, so if he's healthy, he's very, very serviceable. Good third down catching back. So, I think it's a great move. Absolutely love what we did there.
I know. What do you think about? So I agree with you. Matt Breida really he didn't get much of a chance with us, and when he did, he
Yeah.
didn't really shine last year. But he's got that speed, and I wish him luck. Now, the thing that I'm a little surprised about, and talk to me about this because you're closer there in Buffalo. Antonio Williams, a couple of years ago, he played in one of the final games of the year, I think it was, ran for like 64 yards, had some great average yards per carry, scored 2 touchdowns. And I'm thinking, this is a big guy. He looks quick on his feet. What happened? Why hasn't that guy been able to take the next step with us? And, so talk to me a little bit about him.
Yeah, I think that's just an opportunity thing. When you have, and it is interesting because our backs aren't like necessarily like elite backs
Right.
where that guy shouldn't sniff any time or anything like that. I was actually a little disappointed that we didn't really utilize him more. So that could be a potential, head scratcher. Why do we get rid of a guy like that? I wish him all the best too. He ended up going to the Giants. So
Yeah.
Brian Dable has been just
I know.
coaching all these guys, John
Of course.
Feliciano, Antonio Williams, Davis Webb. I mean, and why not, right?
Right.
They might actually fit well in that system. So that's another guy too. You know what's really cool, actually, Mike? There's no like sense of hate for these players that are leaving Buffalo. I feel like in past years when we would let go of guys, there would always be an issue, like a contract issue or just, a guy that wasn't playing up to his standards. That really hasn't been the case over the last few seasons. So I think the only guy you can maybe say that for is and he hasn't even been cut yet, which I'm very surprised about, is Cody Ford. A lot of people are still like, what's going on with that deal? Are we going to actually release him? Is he going to just stay on the team? Are we giving him another chance? That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But really, yeah, I mean, it's a really cool thing. You just wish the best for these players that are leaving Buffalo. And I think it's just a matter of getting an opportunity. I think with the Giants, he might have a better opportunity there. I know Saquon, very injury prone guy, but they did release Devontae Booker. So they need some help with the backup running back situation. So Antonio Williams could be a guy there.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah. Again, I was surprised. Like a couple of years ago when I saw him in that final game, I expected to see that kid more. And
I did too.
And with Zach Moss struggling last year, I'm like, it's
a no-brainer.
What's going on there? And I just didn't know. I didn't know if you had any more insight to that. But wish him all the luck and bright as well. So I agree with you. So for me, I don't know. It depends how we use them, right? We don't know. Is it going to be Singletary now? Which I think that's kind of how the Bills are going. Going to be Singletary's the main guy. And then you got a little bit of Moss maybe and Duke Johnson coming in to relieve him. So to me, it's kind of a wash across the board. What's your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. I would probably agree with that. I think it's an upgrade in the sense of, he's been in the league a little bit longer than Matt Breida.
Sure.
I think just maybe a year or two longer. I think he is a better pass catcher. Matt Breida is a better natural running back. Matt Breida is an 800-yard back. He ran for 800 yards in 2016 or something like that with the Niners. So he does have that on his resume. But I think Duke is a good fit just because we're going to be using Devin Singletary as that like main focal point, the feature back as our actual running back, So on third downs, Duke's going to come in, he'll do his thing. And I think he can really make things happen. So
all right, sounds good. And in a pinch, he did a decent job as the main running back last year for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
All right, I like that. All right, let's move on to tight end and wide receiver. So obviously the tight end position, we lost no one, but we added O.J. Howard from the Buccaneers. Really like that move. So talk to me a little bit about Howard.
I was absolutely shocked that we ended up signing O.J. Howard. I mean, this is a guy that I remember when he was going to get drafted, the Bucs took him at like 21st overall. And man, I mean, my dad specifically was really vouching for this guy because at the time we really didn't have a weapon at the tight end position. Now we have Dawson Knox, who's an athletic freak. And, obviously he'll drop some easy passes, but then he'll make these unreal catches. You know what I mean? So, and then he'll run guys over too. And now we add a guy who's also super athletic, who's also a freak of nature. As long as that guy can stay healthy, like, man, sky is the limit. We could be running double tight end sets. Ken Dorsey might have something up his sleeve where he's going to do something, incorporate that in the offense a little bit. Not the greatest blocker in the world, but he is so athletic. I mean, the guy is fast. I know he's been banged up, but when he's healthy, he can make plays and go. He could stretch the field a little bit. I mean, it creates a lot of different mismatches, and I love the move. I mean, for what we signed him for too, I'm okay with it. I was all excited. I was thinking maybe Evan Ingram, even Gronk. That was speculated, but then Tom Brady said he's coming back, of course. So he's definitely not coming to Buffalo. He might even retire. He was saying apparently. I was excited for the Evan Ingram thing, but you got to shell out a lot of money. He signed for $10 million with Jacksonville,
Ooh,
so
wow.
I don't want to pay that much for a guy like that.
No.
And then even Mike Gesicki, that was a potential, but then he got tagged by the Dolphins. I was hoping maybe that would be a thing. So I like this move with OJ. I think it's a good move and good flyer to just sign to the team, and we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Knox was out a couple games last year, and it'd be great to have OJ backfilling in there. And I don't think there's any loss of talent right there.
No, not
right?
at
Not
all.
at all.
We gained some talent there.
Yeah.
I mean, and Tommy Sweeney's still on the team too.
Yeah.
Don't forget about him.
No, I know.
Yeah.
So obviously upgrade there because we lost nobody in tight end and we gained. So wide receiver. We knew this was coming. Most likely, Cole Beasley was released, and then shortly after we signed Crowder from the Jets, which is a nice little ad. So, surface level, it looks like a wash to me. But give me your thoughts on these two.
Yeah, so I think right now, at this period in time, I actually think it may be an upgrade. And here's the reason why. Cole Beasley is in his young 30s. He's 32. I think he's going to be 33 at the start of the season. And I hate bringing age into the picture like that because I always hated when people said that, oh, he's 30, his career's done. There's a lot of guys who have gone on. Their back nine is their best part of their career. So I don't totally agree with that part of it. But I will say this. Jameson Crowder, he's 28 years old. He's always been a Bills killer. I mean, he's had some big games against the Bills. In the season opener 2 years ago, I mean, he was Sam Darnold's guy. He had like 11 catches or 12 catches against us. They actually almost won that game, but we ended up pulling it out. But I love the Jameson Crowder signing. He's only 28 years old. He has production. He's a good guy. He's great from the slot. I think he's actually faster than Cole, too, so that helps a little bit. And he's really good with yards after the catch. He's a tough, gritty player. He's willing to go across the middle. He's a good route runner. It's basically Cole Beasley, but a little bit faster and younger. So I love the move. I was shocked that we actually pulled it off. I don't know how we even have cap room left, Mike, but, man, Brandon Beane is just a wizard, and great move there.
Yeah, it is surprising. We went into free agency thinking, oh man, how are we going to free up all this cap space? And
right,
God, you would have thought we had, $100 million over the cap to going into free agency with all the money that we spent. I couldn't believe it. Every day we're signing someone new, and it was nice to see Crowder. I know he struggled with injuries as well. Cole's been banged up his last couple of years. I didn't have a chance to go look at how many games Crowder's actually played in the last 2 seasons, but
he was banged up last year even too.
Yeah. So he struggled with injuries. He is a little younger than Cole, like you said, a little faster. I believe Cole has better hands. I mean, Beasley just makes some amazing catches, and he's more comfortable with Josh, has that chemistry, so there's a little loss there as well. And so on paper, if you look at the stats, probably a slight upgrade, but for me, it's a wash just because of what we're losing with Cole Beasley's experience,
chemistry
with Josh and the team. So, but overall, overall, all good here. Right,
and it's funny. I really wanted them to actually sign Jameson Crowder's teammate in New York, Braxton Berrios. I was really pulling for him, but like the first day of free agency, Monday, the tampering period, they announced he re-signed with them. So I was a little upset about that, but good alternative there. So I'm happy about it.
We're close. Neither one of us hit any of our free agent targets.
No, not at all.
We were close. I mean,
the positions were right.
The positions were right, and there were some big splash plays, which we'll get to later.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the O-line here. I'm a little surprised in this and a couple things here. So Feliciano, we knew was probably going to go. We lost him to the Giants once again. Daryl Williams was released purely because to free up some cap space with all that went down. And then we added Roger Saffold from the Titans and Greg Mance, center from the Dolphins. So let's start with our losses there. I mean, no surprise with Feliciano, right? And goes to the Giants. He was good in Buffalo. I think last year was really where he struggled the most. Other than that, he had pretty good few years with Buffalo, right?
Yeah, that's just another case of like injury issues. Last year, once he got hurt, I think that was kind of it. The writing was on the wall, especially when you saw him not even starting towards the end of the year there. Ryan Bates sort of took over for him. Speaking of that guy, really hope we can maybe match that offer sheet. I know we have right of first refusal there. We have 5 days, I believe. So the Bears, and it's kind of a lose-lose. So we were talking about this the other day too, Mike, like because we tendered him at the lowest level, we won't even get a draft pick for that, which is really unfortunate. So I would hate to see a guy like that go. He's so versatile. He could back up Mitch Morse. Maybe that's part of the reason why we actually signed Greg Mance too, because we had a feeling Ryan Bates would be gone. But time will tell with that one.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that one. I'm gonna come back to you in a little bit here and ask you some questions about that. So we added Roger Saffold. So for me, definitely an upgrade. He's a veteran, been around many years. He's been blocking for Derrick Henry, as we know, one of the best running backs in the game. He's just PFF rating off the board for this guy. He's played. I mean, it's rare when he's been injured. I don't want to jinx him. So he's stayed healthy, and again, a little bit older guy, but definitely for me, big upgrade right there. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's wild. I think it was so when he signed with Tennessee, there was rumors that the Bills were actually going to sign him, and now we actually got our shot at it. And it's the year after he's an All-Pro and a Pro Bowl player. He's 33 years old too, which is pretty crazy. Like you wait that long into your career, finally people start showing some recognition of this guy, and he gets some nice rewards there. And I think it's a good signing. I really do. I feel good about the price tag there. I actually like that signing better than my guy Austin Corbett, who I thought we were maybe signed. But I think it's a good move. He's a mauler. This guy's a good run blocker. That's sort of what we need on the interior there. Yeah. So he's going to solidify that, and it's a really nice addition for us. Definitely an upgrade.
Totally agree there. And then Daryl Williams, we released. I was a little surprised at this one. I know, and again, now I understand it was really to free up cap space because he was a big hit against the cap this year. But he had that ability to play guard and tackle in a pinch, and I thought losing that versatility was, to me, again, I was a little bummed about that one. Now we added Greg Mance, who's basically just a backup center,
right? But he has starting experience though, too, so that does help.
Right. So your thoughts on Williams? I mean, so here's my question for you. We lose Bates. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we get Bates. Yeah. We need him. He was so good towards the end of the year last year and really helped that team come together. But we lose Daryl. Who do we got at tackle if one of our tackles gets injured? I mean, who's going to slide into those spots?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, so we still have Cody Ford, and I'm not sure if we even want to take the risk of sliding him back out to tackle. We have Spencer Brown, who is going to be the starting right tackle.
Dawkins.
We have Tommy Doyle, and then we have Deon Dawkins. And then I think there's a couple other, maybe a couple guys on the practice squad as well. I know we were going back and forth. We had signed that Evan Casarchik, shout out to him, UB product, Western New York native. I know he's actually in the gym working out right now. I can say that because he goes to the same gym as me, working his tail off. Big kid, very raw talent. I know he was on a practice squad for a little bit, but then we released him. I think he's now a free agent again. I want to say, I'm not totally certain on that. But yeah, that could be a position that we maybe go for late in the draft just to add some depth there, because right now we're kind of low on that position. So
yeah, most of those guys you mentioned, I wouldn't trust playing tackle, the most important position on that line, protecting our guy Josh. So.
Unless it's Tommy Doyle running to the end zone and catching a touchdown pass, I mean. That was pretty awesome.
So Doyle plays tackle as well? I can't remember.
Yeah, he's a tackle.
So he's tackling. We drafted him last year, right? He's
a mammoth too. He's 6'8". Yeah, we drafted him last year. I think it was 5th round, I want to say.
Yeah, it was pretty late. Okay.
So,
interesting. So for me, I'm going to call it a wash, and only because we're losing that versatility with Daryl Williams. Daryl Williams was on that team last year. He's on that team for the last couple of years, and that offensive line was pretty good with him in there. Again, he struggled to tackle the team last year, but when they slid him in the guard, did a very nice job. So for me, it's a wash. What's your thoughts?
I would agree with that, just because of the whole Ryan Bates thing being up in the air too. But Roger Saffold, I mean, that is a monster upgrade at the guard position. So you can't let that go. So, but I do think it kind of balances out, because obviously, like you said, we're losing Daryl Williams and then potentially losing Ryan Bates, two guys that are very versatile, can play on the line, have that chemistry already too. So that is a big hit, no doubt about it.
Let's move on to the defensive tackles. So we lost Star Lutuele. He was released. Harrison Phillips signed with the Vikings, and Vernon Butler signed with the Raiders. And probably the only big surprise for me here was Harrison Phillips. Signed with the Vikings. I mean, the guy's been so good for Buffalo, the city. and really came on towards the end of the year. I know he had some injuries early on and really didn't have a lot of time to shine, but he definitely shined towards the end of the season last year and just really loved by the whole city. So it was a surprise to see him, but, we knew he was going to be bringing in, commanding pretty good money. And I can't remember. I could look it up. Do you know off the top of your head what the Vikings
it was like
gave him?
3 years. Yeah, 3 years, 17.5 million or 19.5 million, something like that.
Okay.
Something along those lines. So, yeah.
All right. And then we added Tim Settle from the Commanders and Quan Jones from the Panthers and Jordan Phillips from the Cards. Now, I got to say, Jake, other than Quan Jones, I'm looking at their stats, and I didn't know any of these guys, so forgive me. I'm more of a, know my Bills guys, and I watch a lot of football, but these guys, I looked, and none of them, Tim Settle and Jordan Phillips, haven't played much. Quan Jones is the only guy who's been, done something in the league, but give me your thoughts. You might have some more inside information, but I wasn't too excited about this. So get me excited. Help me out here.
Yeah, the Tim Settle thing at first, I was like, man, so I know who he is. But then you really look at like what he had to deal with in Washington. They have arguably one of the best defensive lines out there. He was mainly a rotational guy. Now, he did have 5 sacks 2 years ago. So he is a pretty good pass rushing defensive tackle. I think he can also contribute in the run game a little bit. He's going to be a rotational guy with us. I don't think he's going to be a starting defensive tackle or anything like that, but not a bad signing. A guy that actually sort of offsets the Harrison Phillips loss a little bit. He's still young. He's only 27 years old. He has some starting experience. He's a rotational guy. He's played in a really good system in Washington on that D-line there. So I really like the move more and more as I thought about it. I just really, at first I was like, this is the guy you're going to pick to replace Harrison Phillips. And then we went and signed Quan Jones, which I'm like, okay, that's a really good signing. This guy could play nose. He could play that zero technique like Star Latuele. He could play regular defensive tackle. He play a 3-tech. He's an athletic guy. He's big. He's got big wingspan. He has the production. He's been in the league for, I think, 10 years now around that time. So yeah, I love that move by us. And then you add Jordan Phillips back to the team, who, good for him. He went to Arizona. He chased a little bit of a paycheck. He got his pay. Now he's back in Buffalo. In Arizona, things didn't necessarily work out. He was banged up a little bit. The production just wasn't really there. I think Buffalo's going to be a good fit for him. Another guy that's going to be more of a rotational fit. I think Quan Jones is the guy out of those three that's going to get the most time on the field. And, I mean, how our defensive line is anyways. So now we have 3 pretty solid defensive tackles that we could rotate that we're going to be replacing Starr and Harrison Phillips with. So I love the move there. I think it offsets it pretty nicely there. So I feel good about it. I was nervous at first too, Mike. The second I saw Harrison Phillips sign with the Vikings, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, just bad news there. You hate to see a guy like that go. I'm happy that he's getting paid. He's making his money, well earned. But I think we did a really nice job of filling in for that.
So if I'm hearing you right, slight upgrade? That's what you're saying?
I think it is. Yeah, I do. I think it is. It's good veteran leadership guys that have a little bit of production in the league. And yeah, they're a little bit older. Quan Jones is in his 30s, as is Jordan Phillips. Tim Settle, he has that experience. He has a 5-sack season under his belt. 27 years old too. Guys that have been in the league for a little bit, which I like that. I think it's a good move by the Bills there.
Yeah. So for Settle, I didn't know much about him. I looked at his stats, and I'm like, well, he hasn't done much. He hasn't had an opportunity, like you said.
Right.
I did see on social media some of the fans in Washington said, hey, you guys are getting a steal. He just didn't get a chance. But when he did, they were very impressed with what he did on the field. So to your point, that might be a bigger signing than we even think right now. So
he's playing behind Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne.
Yeah.
So that's really tough. I mean, to get into the mix with those guys, I mean, you're not going to be – those guys are on the field 100% of the time too. So he was just solely a rotational guy at that point.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with you there. I'm going to say slight upgrade there. Starr, I was big on Starr last year. I really thought early in the season he was the guy. He was doing a fantastic job. Got dinged up. Really was never the same the rest of the year. I like the PFF. They gave him such a bad rating on defense last year.
Oh, man.
So, but we kind of knew that when we did our free agency that we were going to probably release him. He was a big hit against the cap. But again, so big on him early, but I see why they let him go. Harrison Phillips, for me, again, putting my love aside for him, for the guy, because he's just a great guy. All he did for Buffalo, I like the fact that we got Quan Jones. I like that a lot. And again, out of the three, that's the only guy I really knew anything about. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I think there was one season I saw he had, if I got this right, he had 9.5 sacks recently, a couple of years ago. So let's go. I'll take that all day.
Yeah, it's a great move. And like I said, he could kind of play all over, which is great. The versatility is a huge factor there.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to our next, maybe the biggest. So, defensive line. We lost F.A. Obata. We added Shaq Lawson. And boom, Von Miller. Boom.
Yeah.
I mean, Von Miller from the Rams. Oh my gosh. I'll throw it to you first. Talk to me.
Yeah. Arguably the biggest signing probably since Mario Williams. And that was a monster deal too. So when I initially saw the contract, I think this is kind of how everyone felt. This guy's 32 years old. He's going to be 33 at the start of the season. And like I said, I hate bringing age into this because he is still very productive. He's still an elite pass rusher. Had a really nice year last year, 9.5 sacks, coming off a Super Bowl win. But the good part is Brandon Beane, being the smart man he is, only 51.5 of that is guaranteed out of that $120 million deal that he signed. So basically 3 years of guarantee with like that fourth year option. So I absolutely love the move. This tells me it's a win now situation. The rich just got a little bit richer there. We finally have that premier edge rusher, defensive end player that we've been asking for so long, Mike. And now the best part about this is you have Greg Rousseau on the other side who's going to learn from Von Miller. Yeah. What better guy to learn from than Von Miller right now? I mean, that's just fantastic. So now I will say this. I don't think he is going to fit in with the whole rotational thing. I think he needs to be on the field 100% of the time. We need a guy like that, and that is the man who can do it. So he's a high motor guy. Obviously, you should know a lot about him. If you don't, you got to do your research. I mean, this guy's, a two-time Super Bowl champion, one Super Bowl MVP. The guy forces fumbles. He creates turnovers, creates plays. He wreaks havoc. He's still an elite pass rusher and just unbelievable. I mean, I was stunned when I saw that. Because before that, we were hoping we'd get Chandler Jones, right? And then he signs with the Raiders. Yeah. So I'm like, man, all hope is lost. Then I'm hearing Von Miller might sign with Dallas. And, I didn't think there was a chance in hell that we were going to get a guy like him, right? Yeah. So when I heard the news, I was actually at dinner. I was at a Ruth Chris Steakhouse in Orlando, and they have no connection there. So I had to actually walk outside because my phone was just blowing up. I mean, everyone and their brother just texting me, calling me, saying, oh, we got Von Miller. And I'm like, holy crap. Like I get the ESPN update. I'm like, this is actually legitimate. They're not messing around with me. And boy, it was just, what a special moment. I mean, that's one of those moments you're going to remember. I remember T.O., I remember Mario Williams, I remember Shady McCoy, and I remember Von Miller. Those are the four big signings that I remember coming to Buffalo. And just an amazing, amazing moment. And I think he's going to really make a huge impact from day one, besides just the leadership aspect. I mean, on the field, he's going to be there. He's going to be locked and loaded. He wants to win a Super Bowl. How often do you see a guy come off a Super Bowl winning team, also in LA, and wants to come to snowy Buffalo? You just don't hear about that, Mike.
I know.
So, man.
And I think that might have, so to me, I'm like, in our free agency show, I was about Chandler Jones. And but Von Miller was there as well, but I just didn't put him up on the slide. But I wanted Chandler Jones first, only because he's about a year younger. And I think you just mentioned it. I think that, and I looked at the contracts. Okay, what we gave Von Miller would have been just fine for what Chandler got. And I'm thinking, why would he have signed? The only thing I think of is the weather. He's playing over here. He's playing in Arizona, and he's like, I'm gonna go to Buffalo and the cold. I've already been in New England before as well. No, thank you. I'll go somewhere warm. And I think
he's from Rochester too, which is really interesting, right? So everyone thought, oh, this guy's going to come home, only an hour away, and he ends up signing.
So at least Miller's familiar with the cold, right? He played for the Broncos for all those years. So the news broke to me. I got a text from our guy Rick, who's on the channel here. He says Bills just signed Von Miller. I'm like, no way. Are you serious, Rick? He's like, would I kid with you? And so I jump on and check it out. So huge signing. Everyone was up in arms like, what are you, crazy? 6 years, 120 million? You got to remember, it's after 3 years of the contract, they let him go. It's probably, and he'll probably retire by that time. He'll be, 35, almost 36?
Yeah.
and will have made, I think, like you said, it was around $53 million that's guaranteed to him, and it's all
time. Good with.
It's all
That's
front.
fine.
It's all front loaded for this first 3 years. You let him go after the third year. Of course, I'm saying let him go. Who knows? They might keep him, but realistically, it looks like it'll be 3 years for him. And so that to me said, all right, you and I talked about this in the free agency. Would you want Bean to go nuts in free agency, make a splash play, get us a Super Bowl now, or would you just rather us just not do much in free agency and just be competitive over the next 10 years? Because there's concern, right? With all this money that you're spending, you might be hurting yourselves later on down the road with cap space. But we both said, no, we want a Super Bowl now. So they're following the Rams blueprint, obviously. And that's why they're all in. And hell, I think we win our 3 Super Bowls consecutively with Von. He retires.
I love it.
And I'm happy.
Yes. Now we're talking, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. His leadership, oh man, I already saw it. Dude, the social media stuff he's been putting out has been funny. He's already been on the Bills field. They've shown him talking to some guys on the team. And that leadership that he's going to bring is just it's another level. And I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't think he's a 50% snap guy. He's going to need to be in there definitely more, 75%. You got to give the older guy a little bit of the time. The rest going to need him in some of those big situations. But super, super excited about the move. So
yeah, it's amazing.
All right.
And he's already the second best pass rusher in Buffalo Bills history, just behind Bruce Smith, just with that alone. So, man.
And he's got more Super Bowls than Bruce got.
Yeah, he does. Yes, he does. Yikes.
All right. So then on the cornerback situation, we lost Levi Wallace to the Steelers, and we haven't added anyone. So on the we didn't even mention. I know you're going to have a good story about this guy. I saw everyone excited. To me, I'm like, come on, seriously. I know Rex Ryan drafted him in the first round, and he made it had one good year, and he went off and really hasn't done anything with any of the teams. I think he was on Houston for a short while. They released him, and I think the Jets picked him up. Your guy, Shaq Lawson. I know you're going to have something good to say about Shaq. You didn't mention him, but talk to me about Shaq.
I wanted to talk about him. Von Miller, I lost my train of thought 100%.
Yeah, I understand.
So Shaq was actually pretty good here in Buffalo. He's a very good run stopper. He went to Houston, didn't do a whole lot. Went to New York. Actually, last year didn't play too bad. He's been injured a little bit, but he's still young. And I'll tell you what, I'll take the depth there. Why not? I mean, you had a really good run stopper to the team. That's something actually we could use a lot of help with. So on the outside, I mean, we need help with the run stopping stuff. So it's a great move by us, bringing him back home. He's got the talent, and really excited for that. Underrated signing, I think.
Yeah, I hear he's another one of those kind of cheerleader type guys in the locker room.
He loves Buffalo.
Yeah. All right. So interesting there. And yes, when we signed him initially, I know there was a lot of like, wow, what is Ryan thinking? And again, he hasn't lived up to a first round pick where we signed him. But we got him cheap. You're right. Adding depth is always important. And he knows Buffalo and he loves Buffalo. So
right.
I'm good there. So obviously that's a huge upgrade. And then we have a downgrade on the cornerback situation. So losing Levi, not adding anyone, it really sets up for this mock draft we're going to have here in a few minutes. But let's talk about that for a second. Are you comfortable right now? Because obviously there's no more free agents out there. I don't think that we could pick up that's corner position that would replace Levi. Are you comfortable with Trey, who we don't know when he's going to get back to his form? Right, he's coming off that injury, and that takes a while. Sometimes we probably won't have the Trey White that we're used to day one. It might take a quarter,
especially at the corner position. Like that's a big, and I think he tore all the ligaments there. It was ACL, PCL, and MCL. So that's major league.
And then you got Dane Jackson, who came in and was serviceable. Again, I got to see more of him, but that could be our starting corners, and that concerns me greatly, especially with all that's happened in the AFC, all the upgrades that have been made at that wide receiver position, and the draft this year is loaded with wide receivers that are big and fast. So concerns there. I mean, yes, we have some other corners. I know we have Elijah Griffin, who's been on the practice
That's your guy.
squad.
Yeah.
We
Cam
have
Lewis.
Cam Lewis and Duran Neal. Is he
Duran
just
Neal.
he can play corner as well? So we have those guys.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts right now in that cornerback position? Because I'm super worried.
Don't forget Taron Johnson, Mike. We got two proven corners on this team: Trey White and Taron
Yeah,
Johnson.
but Taron's that slot guy, so I didn't.
Right. So
I
you
didn't
don't really
put him
count
in.
it. You're thinking outside.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. It's a really interesting mix of guys. I think right now, if we're going into the season, we have to pick two starting corners on the outside. It's Trey White and Dane Jackson. Dane Jackson's shown that he can play. He's a physical corner. I think he overcommits at times. He learned a couple of tough lessons last year, but I think he did a really nice job filling in. So it's good to know that he can play. Now, do I think he is the best option there? Can we get a guy in the first round? Absolutely. Should we? Absolutely. So I think that's a guy, obviously, we got to keep. I mean, Dane Jackson is, like I said, he's shown that he can play in this league. So I like him there, but I would love to upgrade that. So I think that's certainly something we need to do. Let's talk about Levi Wallace a little bit. I think the Steelers got a steal. 2 years, 8 million, only making $4 million a year. I thought he would go for more like 6 to 7 million a year. So I'm a little upset that we almost didn't bite the bullet and just pay him. But at the same time, happy that he ended up going to a better situation maybe for him. I think they just released Joe Hayden, I want to say. So that's a nice fill-in for them. And actually, Joe Hayden, I don't think he's signed anywhere yet. Let me look into that for a second. I'm curious.
So I was completely surprised as well. I like you said, I thought he was going to command at least $6 million plus. And I think you were the one who broke the news to me at $4 million per year, and I'm like,
yeah,
seriously, that's pretty dirt cheap for a quality cornerback who knows our system. And so I'm a little surprised. I guess they were getting down to pennies when they were trying to work out that deal with Von Miller, and they had to, remove as much cap as possible. But now that I look at these additional signings they've done, they had enough. They had enough money. So I don't know what the deal is there. I guess, maybe as a fan, I know a lot of fans have just been on Levi Wallace. You actually weren't a huge fan either of him.
I was very critical.
Yeah. And we talked about all that, playing opposite of Trey White. Of course, you're going to get most of the balls thrown your way, and he did a very serviceable job. But that 13 seconds sticks out on my mind. That was his side of the field. And again, I blame the coaches for that call.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wish him, a lot of success over there in Pittsburgh. And again, I am completely surprised we didn't pony up $4 million.
Yeah, at least try. You know what I mean? It feels like we just let that guy go. Like we didn't even give it.
You get him,
and I don't know. I mean,
you re-signed him. That changes the draft board. Now we don't. Again, you're going to pick number one here in a little bit, and I don't want to influence you anyway. But it seems obvious to me. But there's another option. If you had Levi, you wouldn't have to be so concerned about getting a corner in the first round. And again, you may not, Jake. I'm gonna leave this up to you because it's going to depend who's available.
It's a glaring need, and I don't think it would be as glaring if we kept Levi Wallace.
Yeah. So, is there anyone? I mean, I feel I did a pretty good job. And again, this doesn't include guys that haven't been signing with it. Of course, Jerry Hughes. I'd love to see Jerry say, "Hey, I'll play for give me the minimum. Let me come back another year." And no one signed him yet. No one signed Mario Addison. So I didn't touch on guys that haven't been lost completely. Yes, they're not on our team right now, but they haven't been lost to some other team. But Jerry Hughes is one guy that I would love to see us potentially get in here for the minimum. But what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the fact that he hasn't actually reached out or signed with another team at this point tells me maybe he will sign like a veteran minimum deal or something with us. Probably not a veteran minimum deal, but something smaller contract, maybe a 1 year, like $2 million deal, something smaller in that sense. Maybe it's a camp deal or something like that. But yeah, the fact that he hasn't actually signed anywhere tells me maybe he's going to either retire or maybe he'll come back to Buffalo, or maybe he'll be one of those late signings and, training camp when a guy goes down or something like that. By the way, Joe Hayden still is a free agent. So that is a guy, it's a veteran guy. It's similar to like that Josh Norman situation, right? Where we bring in a veteran guy. He's proven. He actually played at an elite level 2 years ago. He was a Pro Bowler. This past year, he was sort of banged up a little bit, but he could still get the job done. Now he is like 33, bringing age into it again, Mike. But That's a guy that might be a potential signing if we don't end up going corner in the draft, which I doubt. I don't think we're not going to take a corner, just a matter of when, maybe the first round, maybe the second round, maybe both. Who knows?
Right.
So Joe Hayden is still available.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well,
as is Richard Sherman, too. That's another guy.
Okay.
But I don't know if we want to touch him.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's up there in age, and he really hasn't. You haven't heard his name much, but like Josh Norman, he could fill a role. I mean, in a pinch. But I don't think so. I think we're going to be. I think we're going to be able to go younger. I think we're going to be able to get someone in this in the draft, and so let's get into this little mock draft we're going to do. We're only going to do 3 rounds, and Jake and I plan on doing more in depth mock drafts. It's a lot of fun. We'll probably right now we're just going to go the first 3 rounds, but I know Jake, you actually do one. You were telling me you do all rounds, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I do all rounds for every team. And I will say this: the last mock draft I did, I think it took me about 10 hours in total to do.
Oh my goodness.
I really put a lot of thought into these picks.
Yeah.
Like I do one round, I step away for a little bit, get back to it, do another round, step away, because you can't do everything at once like that. Your mind will go a lot.
Yeah, after 3 rounds, for me to be able to do more than 3 rounds, man, I have to do a lot of research. You are more familiar with the college game. You watch a lot of college football. I don't. My dad does. So, what I've been studying on are the guys that I thought we were going to be potentially draft targets for us. And we've started a series on draft targets on our channel here. We did corners. We did 5 of them that I felt were targets that the Bills could potentially have at 25 or maybe at 57. And we're going to do a couple more. We got wide receivers as well that we're going to do here in the future at some point. But so we started that. So I'm more familiar with those positions that I know the Bills needed. But you're into, the offensive line, the defense, I mean, all that stuff. And I have a few things that I've learned. I did most of the positions. I did cornerback research. I did defensive line research. I did I did all the key positions, but I really focused on what I thought the Bills were going to in the first 2 rounds. So let's get into it.
Do it.
3 rounds. We're picking at number 25 and number 57. And I forget where we are in the 3rd. I think we're around the 87th pick overall, something like that. But
that's right.
Let's get into
89,
this.
I think.
89, okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Let's start this draft with the Jaguars on the board.
Here we go.
All right. Before we get in there, let's take a look real quick at who was taken. Number 1 was Hutchinson, edge rusher from Michigan. Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. Gardner, big cornerback. I knew that guy would go quick. Cornerback for Cincinnati. Ekmanu.
Best name in the game, too. Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right?
What? I mean, that's kind of his nickname. Do you know a little backstory, like why they call him that?
I actually don't know. I don't really know a whole lot about that. I have to look into that again. I remember I heard about it. I don't know what the exact background of that is. Shame on me for that, too, by the way.
But this is things I assume you know now because
typically do.
All this information you always have off the top of your head. Let's see here. So Gardner and Stingley were the 2 corners taken within the top 10. Trayvon Walker on the edge. I really liked him. He was taken at 9. Let's see. We got a wide receiver, Wilson, taken at 11. We had a quarterback, Malik Willis, was taken at 12. Trent McDuffie, another big corner that a lot of people are high on. He was taken at 13. And let's see who else we got. Jordan Davis, taken at 14. So no surprises. Everyone that I see here, I'd expect to be taken. But it looks like there's definitely some of the key positions we need left on the board. So Jake, you tell me who you want me to filter on. And so I can tell you, obviously you see on the board here what PFF thinks the next best guys are. They got Devontae Wyatt, Sam Howell, Andrew Booth Jr., who was one of my draft targets for corners. So talk to me who you want me to filter on. You're up, Jake. You're now on the board.
I would. So first off, let's take a look at the corners because that's the first glaring need, in my opinion. I want to take a look at everyone that's available right here.
So we got some nice guys available. We got Mr. Booth. We got
Yep.
Kair Elam, who I'm very big on. I don't want to influence you, by the way.
No, I like it, Mike. I already like where you're
Jalen Petre, Jackson Hill, Roger McCray, who you and I talked about. Also another one of our draft targets that we did for cornerbacks. Kyler Gordon. Oops, let me scroll this down here. So most of the guys that
crazy. A lot of these guys have
targeted
grades on them.
Yeah. So do you need me to go further? So right now you got
I am good.
Right.
Yeah. So I think actually real quick, take a look at the guard position just for a second.
Sure.
I just want to see.
While we're here, before we pick a guy, why don't we take a look at some? Let's see here. You said guard.
Yeah.
Line. So Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green, Dylan Parfum, Donovan West, Cole Strange, Luke Fortner.
Okay, so I want to talk about Zion Johnson.
Nice. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Kenyon Green's very nice, but I actually like Zion Johnson a touch more. Reason being with him, I think his run blocking skills, his athleticism, he actually reminds me of a former Boston College guy, very good NFL veteran, Damian Woody. He played with the Patriots and the Jets. Phenomenal football player, had a nice long career. Another Boston College guy, like I said, but I think Zion Johnson is the next Damian Woody. Very similar guy, very similar build, similar play style. I think he's an immediate plug-and-play guy, NFL starter, 100%. That's actually a guy that is a little tempting if he's there for us to take. But I think just based on need alone, I have to go with the corner position right now.
All right, just for kicks before you make that pick, I want to see who is available at wide receivers because they're so stacked. This is a guy I really like, Treylon Burks. I mean, he's there. Really like him.
I think had we not re-signed Isaiah McKenzie, we have to pick Treylon Burks there.
Gotcha. My camera's acting all weird today. All right.
Are you looking like the Hulk?
No, not the Hulk. just very blurry. I know what it is. It changes settings so that you can, when it's focused, you can see the background a little bit more. But seems to be struggling to get in focus again. All right, let's go back to. So yeah, there's some definitely. Again, I told you the wide receiver class is stacked this year. Treylon Burks is one of the targets that I had that we haven't put out our videos yet on receivers, but he's one of those guys. You got George Pickens is available. Let's see some of the other guys that I was high on here. Alec Pierce and those three guys right off the top for me would be some of the wide receivers I might be going after. So all right, so you said corners. Let's go over to corners. Got lots to choose from here, Jake. Mr. Booth,
my heart, and this is really difficult for me here because my heart wants me to take Andrew Booth, but my brain, which is also connected to my heart, is telling me to take Kaiir Elam there. So I think that's who we're picking, Mike. Kaiir Elam.
Okay.
Talk a little bit more about this guy. I know you already made a video about him. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it because Mike does a very nice job of breaking everything down. He gives like an overview, pros, cons, a little bit of everything there. So very good job. Bloodlines here. A lot of bloodlines. Now, you have Abram Elam, who played safety with the Browns. He bounced a little bit around the league. He played in the mid-2000s, finished his career in 2012. That's actually his dad. And then his brother is Matt Elam, who is now playing in the CFL. He was a first-round pick for the Ravens in 2013. Kind of a bust. He played decent, and then he got injured. And I think after that, he just couldn't really recover from it. He played a little bit in the XFL, too. Shout out to them. USFL is starting in a month, by the way, Mike. So that's pretty fun. But, yeah, I think Kaiir Elam, it's a solid pick. He's a good-sized guy. He's got the experience. He played at the SEC level. You know, you hate to talk about the Power 5 schools and stuff like that, but he's played against some really good talent, and he's done a nice job. I just really think it's going to be a natural fit for him. Similar size to Levi Wallace, actually. He's like 6'1", 6 foot, 200-something pounds. So he's long. He has the ability to play press. He's got, quickness. I think he has the instincts. He can tackle. He's kind of an all-around player. So I really like that selection there. And I think I like him a little bit more than Andrew Booth in terms of experience and whatnot. So that's my selection.
I love it, Jake, and I'll tell you why. So you're right. He's 6'2". He's almost 200 pounds.
Yeah, he's big.
4.39. He ran the 4.39 I believe he bettered it at the pro day. So this was not a combine time, but he bettered his combine time at the pro day. So 4.39. Love his size. Love that he plays press coverage. And I think he'll be a great fit. So great pick. Now, I also like that you passed on Booth, and I'll tell you why. So Booth obviously was my first target that I had there, but he came into the combine, was practicing for the 40-yard dash. He's already had an injury history. He pulls his quad muscle, right? So he's not able to participate in the combine. So everybody's already like, all right, he's already got injury history, pulls his quad muscle, just trying to get ready for the 40-yard dash. Then Clemson had its pro day about a week, 10 days after the combine, and people were thinking he might be able to compete there. He wasn't able to, and then he announced that he has to have surgery on a core muscle. I don't know what that core muscle is.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
So that right there, for me, pushes him below Kyer, no doubt. So I like the pick.
Love it.
All right, let's lock it in. I'm nervous, man. I'm calling.
Here we go, Mike. Here we go. Don't blow it.
I'm picking up the phone, man. I'm picking up the phone. Now, throughout my videos with these cornerback targets, I've been saying we got to go either cornerback, wide receiver, 1 and 2 in either direction. We could have taken a wide receiver. I'd have been okay with you picking a wide receiver in one, but I agree with you fully. Cornerback is our need, and I think Kyer is a great ad. I mean, he's a contributor day one and just gives us, I don't know, he might even start, honestly.
I think he's a day one starter. Yeah. I do. And Matt Elam, it's so interesting because he's only in his early 30s, but he's actually his uncle because he's brothers with Abram Elam. So, like I said, there's a little bit of a bloodline there. You know, obviously some NFL history in that family already, which I always like to see. So it's I think that's a good pick.
Yeah. So let's look a little bit at. So right after Kyer, your boy Zion Johnson was taken by Tennessee. Devontae Wyatt.
That's a good fill-in for Roger Saffold if they do that.
Green Bay took Treylon Burks with losing Devontae Adams. They got to get a wide receiver.
Love that.
Booth was taken by the Kansas City. No surprise there. They need a lot of help. They got 2 picks. They got 29th and 30th because of the Tyreek Hill deal. And they took safety. So they took cornerback Booth and Lewis Cine. I hope I'm saying his name right. Cine at safety. Let's see here. Another quarterback taken at 32 was Desmond Ritter. Good pick there.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Here. Wide receiver, Jahan Dotson.
Where did Kenny Pickett go? Did he get taken?
Kenny Pickett was taken at 34 by the Lions.
Interesting.
All right. Gordon was taken at 38. Let's see here. Any other surprises from me, at least? McCreary was taken at 47. Kenneth Walker, who I had as one of our running back targets, was taken at 48 by Chicago. George Pickens taken by KC at number 50. So not only did they add to their defense, which is in need, they added to their the offense with a great pick in Pickens. Really like that move. And let's see here. All right. So I'm on the clock. Obviously, the first place, and I don't think he's been taken. I'm going to look wide receiver right now. Look at a couple, but I'm going to filter on wide receiver. Why am I looking at wide receiver? When we just talked about, we filled Jameson Crowder. We obviously have Diggs. We know Gabe Davis is going to play a big role this year, and we got Isaiah McKenzie. But the more weapons you could put around Josh Allen, and the bigger, these guys are big, fast, strong. We don't have, Gabe Davis, you can say, is a little bit bigger guy, but we don't have that really big burner. And let's take a look here. So the guy that's sticking out to me as far as wide receiver is a guy who just impressed at the combine. Is Alec Pierce from Cincinnati. I mean, this guy. So I watched the video. Now, when he ran the 40, he came in at 4.33, but it was unofficial, and I think his official time came in at 4.41.
Yeah, I was gonna say 4.41. Yep.
Yeah. So big, tall guy, right? He's run track in college, or he ran track not in college, but he ran track before. So the guy's got some afterburners they can put on. He's tall. Let me give you some a little more information on him real quick. Doesn't have all that. Meanwhile, I'm getting this. Go ahead and talk to me about that. Pierce?
Yeah. So at his best, potential wise, I think he kind of falls in line with a Jordy Nelson type player. Similar draft projection, track guy, size is very similar. They actually kind of look alike a little bit. He's got a big catch radius. I mean, he's an outside guy. He could play a little bit in the slot too, and he can even probably return kicks if you really need him to. Um, yeah, I think his stock has just been on the rise ever since the combine. He had a pretty nice year actually at Cincinnati too. I think he had 9 touchdowns or something like that. So he's had a pretty solid college career, and I think he can contribute right away. So that is definitely a nice option there, Mike. I like it.
Yeah, so he's 6'3", nice size. He's 40. His vertical leap is 40.5. He jumped out in the combine. His broad jump is something like over 11 feet. And speaking of freak, he made Bruce Feldman's freaks list. I don't know. Have you ever checked that out, Jake?
Yeah, I have. It's pretty cool.
All right,
yeah.
So he's number 46, and so very, very impressive, this young guy. So I'm going to go with him. You also mentioned maybe you changed your mind. I think you mentioned to me that kind of similar to Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp, I think he's actually more similar to Jordy Nelson, just based on size comparisons. Now, Cooper is probably in that mix too, but I think Alec Pierce is even faster. Cooper was more of a 4.5 guy. Jordy Nelson, very similar stature, long strides, track. They're both track guys, so I think that's a better comparison for him. And if that's the case, I mean, if he's Jordy Nelson, that's phenomenal. That's a great pick right there.
All right, and I'm just looking at some other ones real quick, so it's probably who I'm going to go with. But I'm looking at corner because you had mentioned maybe go corner 1 and 2. I'm just looking.
What guards are left too? Take a look at that.
I'll take a look at that. Tariq Woolen, which is one of our targets in the video series. I think this guy, he's been jumping up the boards and started out where the people were saying he's a 4th rounder. This guy lit it up at the combine.
Yeah,
his size. I mean, just real quick before we move past him and I make the pick, let me bring him up real quick. I want to ask you about him. And have you ever seen a guy with this size and this speed? And I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I figured you would know somebody right off the bat. But he's 6'4", 205, ran a 4.26. 4.26. Yeah. He comes from, he was a wide receiver early in his, all through high school, early in his college career. But the last 2 years, he converted to corner. And I asked you, because I know you played some receivers, does that help? You played receiver. I said receivers. You played receiver. Does that help you translate over to corner? And you said it does. And so, okay, the guy bumped up a little bit more for me, but his speed and his size. Can you think of a guy that has been that big as a corner? Because I don't see corners this big very often. Can you think of anyone?
The most recent guy, I mean, that size, but not that speed, Brandon Browner. He was 6'4". He played on the Legion of Boom with the Seahawks and a very good football player. Played a little bit with New England as well. But he didn't have that speed. He was more of a 4.5, 4.6 guy. He wasn't running 4.26.
Right.
I think maybe the closest comparison, and he's not even a corner himself, but he does play kind of all over the field, is Kyle Duggar with New England. Very similar size, stature, etc. So both small school guys, Lenore Ryan for Kyle Duggar, and then UTSA for Tariq Woolen. And I think that's sort of why he flew under the radar a little bit. But then people actually saw who this guy was. He's just a freak of nature. Now, little inexperience, obviously, he switched positions from receiver to corner, but I think he can get it done. I think he's worth taking a flyer on. Gamble a little bit. He's definitely 2nd-round pick worthy. Even some mocks, you were saying, Mike, they have him late in the 1st round. Yeah. I mean, and that's just based on his freak status alone. So, it's certainly intriguing.
He also made Bruce Feldman's freak list. Number 2, the guy has a 42-inch vertical jump. 42-inch vertical jump. Also, he's got 33.5-inch arms. So he's already tall. He's 6'4". Given those 33.5-inch arms, by the way, those arms were the longest of all the 5 targets that I did videos on, and the only one of the 5 who had longer arms than Levi Wallace. Levi Wallace had 33-inch arms, so he played a lot bigger.
He was very long.
Yeah. And so this guy, I mean, you're not going to see a raw talent like this at a cornerback position very often. And yes, but a lot of the experts are saying he is a work in progress, right? He's only played corner for the last 2 years. Again, if you played, like for you, Jake, if you played wide receiver all your life, pee-wee football, high school, even a little bit of college, you're a receiver, and all of a sudden you make that big change. Yeah, it can help you, but is 2 years enough under your belt playing in the conference that he played in? I don't know.
Right.
So I don't think he'd be a day one contributor like Kyer is going to be. That's my only thought. But again,
I agree.
I hate to give up on hate to let a guy like this go. It's going to be interesting to see who gets him. So for me, you wanted to look at guards too. But,
yeah, I'm curious.
Let's take a look at that. I haven't been able, because I have all these screens up, I haven't been able to look in the channel. So if there's anyone there, I apologize.
I'll check it out right now here, Mike. As of right now, no. Cosmic Jerry leaving a nice comment there, though, for us. Shout out to you. If you are out there watching right now, Cosmic Jerry, appreciate you. I know you've commented on a few videos in the past.
All right, so we got Dylan Parfum, who is highly rated.
I love him.
Donovan West, Cole Strange, Luke Fortner, Ed Ingram, and Marquise Hayes. Any of those guys really pique your interest?
The two that pique my interest are Dylan Parham and Cole Strange. So I think first I would definitely take Dylan Parham. If he's there, I'm 100% taking him. I think guard is that other glaring need, especially if we lose Ryan Bates. Receiver is nice because that's another case of like the rich getting richer. And if Alec Pierce is there, certainly tempting just based on size, speed, ability. He could play outside, he could play inside, he could return. There's a lot that you could do with him. And it's nice to give Josh Allen even more weapons. It's actually almost unfair at this point, if you really think about it. It's like, man, you got the best quarterback in the NFL, and he's got all these weapons to throw to. So why not? I totally understand your thought process there. However, I will say Dylan Parham, I think he can be a day one NFL starter as well. His size is basically the main concern that a lot of scouts have, and I think that's what's keeping him from being a first rounder. He's only 6'3", and actually he played at 285 in Memphis. Now, he did put on some weight. He's up to 311 now. I think that's what he weighed in at the combine. So he put on a little bit of weight, but he's super athletic. He's really good in the run game. He's good at getting to the second level. Good hips, good feet, all that type of thing that you would like with an athletic guard like that. He's a 4-year starter as well. So that's huge with experience. You love to see a guy like that coming out. I think that certainly will help him translate to the NFL level too. A lot of people actually compare him to Andy Levitre, former Bill. So that's an interesting comparison. And I actually like that comparison because they're pretty similar stature, athletic guys, a little undersized, but guys that can get to the next level and make an impact for you in the run game. So I would love to take him there if he's available. The other guy I was talking about was Cole Strange, small school kid, 10 Chattanooga. People have like a second to third round grade on him, probably more of a third round pick. If you're thinking, you're going to go guard maybe in the third round, that might be my guy. If you don't end up taking a guard here, Mike, if he's available, a lot of people compare him to JC Tretter because he could be sort of like that center guard combo type player. You can plug and play him in a couple different positions on the field, which is really nice. That's like a Ryan Bates replacement right off the bat there too. So I would like to see, the Bills maybe take a shot on one of those two guys.
Gotcha. What I like about Parfum is that, and again, I want to let everyone know everything I'm showing here, even the draft simulator, is through PFF. I highly recommend you. I subscribe. Their data is awesome, and I brought it up here. So Parfum, what they're saying here is he earned a 90.6 overall grade at right tackle in 2020, which I love.
Versatile.
Right? So we were just talking about losing Daryl Williams. This guy could be coming very handy. And then he earned a slightly lower grade at guard in 2021. But still, for PFF, 78.8 is in the green. It's very high. They have him projected around third round here. So the only concern would be that size, 285. He's got to bulk up a little bit. But
he's up to 311 now, so he put on some weight, which is good.
Yeah.
6'3", 311. Yeah, he's definitely not a tackle at the next level by any means, but it is good to know that he has experience across the board on the offensive line. So
he made it a little tough for me, Jake. He made it tough because I am worried about that offensive line. As I asked you earlier, like, all right, one of our tackles gets hurt, who can slide over there? And all the guys you mentioned are not. They don't even have much experience at that tackle position. So, of course, this guy would be a rookie as well. Could he come in and play that role as a rookie, like our guy did over? Who's our rookie last year? It's the guy
Spencer Brown.
Spencer Brown.
Yeah,
can't think of his name on top of my head. But could he come in and do like Spencer Brown did? Maybe. maybe. And I love the versatility, but I'm gonna stick to my guns here. And
Alec Pierce?
I'm gonna go wide receiver, Alec Pierce.
All right. I like it, Mike.
All right. I think PFF.
Not bad.
By the way, PFF believes that our needs are defensive line and wide receivers. If we get a bad draft score at the end, because they're gonna give us a draft score, don't be surprised if it's not the greatest. But all right, here we go. We are now at 89 on the clock. Jake, you're on the clock, my friend.
All right, let's take a look at who's available here. First off, let's take a look at that guard position since we haven't gotten one yet. We need to definitely evaluate.
Dude, your boy's available. Dylan
Is he there?
Yes.
Cole Strange? Oh, Parham's there.
Parham's there.
Woo. All right, I think we got to take him. I don't even want to consider anyone else at this moment.
Strange was taken, and but Parham's there.
Let's take him.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Not even going to talk about that much.
No debate there. Was Tariq Woolen? Where did he get taken?
Let's see here. I'll look at the full results here.
Shout out to Vlad Ostroff as well. He's in the chat here, Mike. He just said, let's go. Vlad, glad you could join the channel. I like that you have a Bills emblem for your profile there.
Yeah, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you, man. So our score, Kyer, they gave us a C+. Alec Pierce, B-. All right, I'm happy with that. And Dylan Parham, B+. So overall grade looks to be about a B. I'll take it. Love it.
Not bad.
But again, PFF is going at it from a standpoint that we needed D-line and wide receiver, which to me is completely wrong. Cornerback is such a big need. So I love it.
Right.
I love it. And we'll go in deeper in some future mock drafts, but man, Kyer Elam, I love that choice, Jake. There was a couple guys. We had pretty much every one of those corners we had in our video series about corners available to us. And you could have gone with McCreary. You could have gone with
and I love Roger McCreary too. He's near and dear.
Kyler Gordon was a guy that I know the Bills talked to. They interviewed him at the combine. I could see them going, but if Kyer's there, you got to take this guy because of his size and speed. I mean, the league is getting bigger and faster, and to have a person with this athleticism, I think you got to take him. So I love it. I love Alec Pierce adding to that arsenal for Josh Allen. I love your pick here. I mean, you almost sold me. You almost sold me at number 2 because I am concerned about offensive line. We struggled last year, and I think to some degree there might be a little struggles early on because there's some chemistry that's now different, right? Look, Casey revamped their offensive line after the Super Bowl loss a couple of years ago, and on paper, that offensive line looked like it was going to be the best in the league. Early on, they struggled because they just had to get that chemistry going. And once they got it together, though, of course, they took off from there. But so I love that pick. So love what we did here, Jake.
I know this is great, Mike. If it goes like this on draft day, I'll be feeling pretty good because those are 3 guys that can contribute right away. I think Kyer Elam is a day 1 starter. I think Dylan Parham is a contributor right away, and then Alec Pierce, that'd be pretty nice. Have him on the outside, just an added weapon to Josh's arsenal.
Oh, man, I'll be celebrating. If it goes that way, I'll be celebrating. I love it. And so we'll do some more, Jake. We'll do some more in depth. We'll probably go. I don't know if we'll go a full all rounds like you did, but we'll probably go maybe as deep as 5. And
we can do 7 with the Bills, because it goes quick, right?
It does. It goes very quick. It's just harder to find those. Once you get past 3, man, I'm going to have to do a lot of research and think it through. So I'll need a little bit of time. But I know you, off the top of your head, you'll have like a bunch of guys. Oh, yeah, this guy, take him.
I'll tell you what, that 5th, 6th round, Mike, we should be targeting my guy, Matt Araiza out of San Diego State. Now, I know they just restructured Matt Hack, and it's a lot smaller of a contract. So he's going to be a guy he's going to need to compete a little bit in camp. So Matt Araiza, don't sleep on him. Would love to see it.
Well, listen, so I wanted to talk a little bit, and this before we wrap up, about all the landscape that's changing the AFC. Teams making a splash here. We got Denver, we got the Raiders, we got the Dolphins, we got the Chargers. Let's talk about the Broncos first of all. Getting Russell Wilson. Yeah. I mean, are you kidding me? That team was my nose is running. Sorry, guys. My allergies strike again. But they had Russell Wilson. They're a very good team last year. They were just kind of missing that quarterback. And they've filled that with can't get much better than Russell Wilson. So love that pick. The Raiders, oh my gosh. add in Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones across
And Stephon Gilmore.
Oh my
Did you see
God!
that one
No,
too?
I did not see that.
Yeah.
And then put Chandler across from Max Crosby. Oh my God! I mean,
It's crazy.
I haven't looked at the schedule. I know we have a tough schedule this year, but let's just hope that we don't face these type of guys. But the AFC's gotten so good. The Dolphins, which was one of the more recent bigger moves. Can you believe Tyreek Hill is now a Dolphin?
I know it. It's absolutely insane. Did not expect a trade at all to happen. And then all of a sudden this news comes out from Schefter saying he's deciding between the Jets and the Dolphins. And I think he made the right move selecting the Dolphins. Who wouldn't want to play in Miami? Now, am I afraid of Miami? No. He's not going to be the same player as he was in Kansas City. I can tell you that for free. Tua is good, man. He's not bad. He's an average quarterback, but he's not a deep ball guy. He's an underneath guy. Jalen Waddle had 104 catches for like 1,014 yards. 9.8 yards a catch. And the reason for that is because he could really only throw the underneath stuff. So it doesn't really worry me a ton. Now, yeah, the Dolphins have a lot of weapons there now. They have Jalen Waddle. They have Tyreek Hill. They have Mckissick, who's back. They still have Devontae Parker. Don't forget about him. So certainly, yeah, they have some weapons. But it's all how you use them, and it starts with a guy behind center.
They also picked up who's the running back they picked up from?
They got Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds as well. They're fast, very fast.
Speed kills. So that concerns me. We play these guys twice a year, and our current cornerback situation scares me. Doesn't match up well. I mean, yes, Trey White's coming back, but again, we said we don't know when Trey will return to that form we're used to.
But I'll let him throw underneath all day. I'm okay with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I'm a little worried. And they played well last year. I mean, after they got off to that struggle, they almost made the playoffs. Jake.
Right.
So
yeah, they're
gonna be tough this year. And that's just for me though, for Kansas City to let Tyreek Hill go. I mean, I know they were in negotiations, something broke down, and then they made we're gonna, open up Tyreek for give him permission to seek a trade.
Yeah.
That was just I've watched a couple KC podcasts because I like to see how the other side.
You got to see how they're feeling about this, right?
Oh, they were just like, we're not. This is the end of an era. We're not going to win any Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill. Now they got a ton of draft choices. They got two in the first. They got one first round from Miami. I think they got a second round. So they're picking 29th and 30th this year.
Yep,
somewhere in the first round. They got an extra second. They got five choices overall. I don't know all of them. I think they might have gotten 3 in this year's draft and 2 in a future draft. So they can load up. And as you saw in the mock draft, they loaded up on defense, and then they came back with a strong receiver to replace Hill. No one's going to replace Hill. He's got to be top 2, top 3 receivers in the league. So thoughts on that move that came down?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I said, a totally unexpected. Something that you just didn't think would ever happen, right? And now I actually saw a thread. You look at the Chiefs receivers from 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. They had Demarcus Robinson, who's gone. He's on the Raiders. Tyreek Hill, who we already know, he's on the Dolphins. Sammy Watkins on the Ravens. The only guy left out of that entire group of 5 guys, because they had Nicole Hardman. Nicole Hardman's the only guy left, by the way. Byron Pringle, he went to the Bears. And then there was another guy, too. I'm at a loss right now. But anyways, those 5 guys who were on that Super Bowl team, the only guy left is Nicole Hardman. And if they expect him to replace Tyreek Hill, I mean, they're similar in speed, and I think they can be very similar players, but Tyreek had a little bit extra where he's just like that elite type of receiver, So it's and I don't think he's the same guy in Miami. No way. No chance.
I agree, but he's that type of guy. You're saying I'm okay with the dump off. He's the guy who can take the dump off to the house. So
that is, and he did it against us.
He did
remember
that.
Exactly. Across the middle, yeah.
He was a key play on that 13 seconds. He was the first play. They just gave it to him, and he took it for 20 yards, 15, 20 yards. So big splash.
Antonio joined, by the way, Mike.
Antonio, good to see you, buddy.
Antonio, yeah.
Long time. Yep. Hope everything's going well for you, man. On the Chargers side, we got, Khalil Mack. So I was disappointed. I'm like, how the hell did the Bills not jump in on that? Because they got him for basically nothing. A couple draft picks. Why? What the heck? He's a UB guy. I know you love Khalil Mack. And then they also signed J.C. Jackson. So they obviously are bulking up on the defensive side of things. Were you bummed at all when you saw Khalil Mack go to the Chargers?
I was a little bummed, but he's got a big contract that we'd be taking on. And I think Brandon Beane had a plan. I mean, we signed Von Miller to that big monster contract. So maybe he thought all along that he was going to end up getting Von Miller. Maybe he knew in the back of his mind. So maybe that's why we weren't even in the running for that. Because I didn't really hear I didn't hear any rumors or anything that Buffalo was pursuing it, So they got him for a second and a fourth or a fifth or something like that.
Yeah,
a second and a sixth.
Yeah, I think it's a sixth. And I was like, are you kidding me? You got it for dirt cheap. But you're right. It's not dirt cheap. They only had to give up 2 drafters, but they had to take on that contract.
Take on the big contract.
And until we signed Von Miller, though, I was thinking, still, that's a pretty damn good deal. Why don't we jump on that?
Right.
But I understand why they didn't. And one team that I didn't put on here that has made a huge splash recently was the Cleveland Browns signing Deshaun Watson to guaranteed $230 million, making Baker available. Talk to me about that one. Where's Baker going to go? And talk to me about Deshaun Watson, first of all.
Yeah, it's a monster deal. And for all of that to be guaranteed, I mean, I hope the Browns really did do their due diligence, because he still has some civil suits out there that need to be resolved. And I don't know what happened. I mean, when you have that many women coming out and saying this, and then the press conference just was so cringeworthy, and I get it. He's trying to say all the right things, but then he made a couple comments that people probably took the wrong way too. So that whole thing, it's got to be tough being a Browns fan right now. It's just, how do you have faith in the management there?
Yeah.
Deshaun as a football player, tremendous football player, excellent quarterback, was a top 5 quarterback in the league. But with all this stuff as a distraction, will he even play? Will he get suspended? There's a lot looming around the speculations, and I just don't think it's worth it. And to fully guarantee the contract like that
it's insane.
Bananas.
It's insane. And and on social media, I saw some Cleveland fans, not liking that move. They're like, hey,
giving up their season tickets.
Yeah, Buffalo, we like what you got going on there. Are you okay with us jumping over on you?
Yeah.
The Buffalo fans, of course, we always have room for fans. So
I feel bad for the Browns, even when they try to make a really good move, to potentially help their roster, they still mess up. I feel bad for Cleveland. I do. I mean, they're in a tough situation right now, and it's hard to justify backing up management there, because they're all over the place. I mean, and I do feel bad for Baker too, because this is a guy who won you your first playoff game in however many years. This is a guy that really did help that team a lot. Hasn't played well the last 2 seasons, but towards the end of the season, at least, of 2020. And then 2021 was kind of a train wreck year for him. Just a lot of drama with Odell and everything like that, and apparently Odell wants to go back to Cleveland, which is insane. I don't know if that's a true rumor or not, but it's coming out all over Twitter and stuff. So
maybe he's got a relationship with Deshaun Watson. Who knows? Because of that move.
He might. Yeah.
But Baker right now is still under contract. So it's like,
and the Browns, apparently they don't have actually any plans to trade the guy.
Wow.
So he did request a trade, but I don't know what's going on there. It's very, very interesting. And I think the Colts were the number 1 team I thought that was going to probably try and trade for him, but they get Matt Ryan, and now it's still wide open. I mean, Houston, it seems like they want to move forward with Davis Mills. Any other teams out there that might be in the quarterback market? I don't know. I mean, I feel like everyone's kind of got their guy. Jimmy Garoppolo is still out there too. I don't know what's happening there. So there's a lot of questions. Maybe some draft day trades might be going on. There's supposedly some teams that offered, the Browns, they said, can you send us a pick with Baker? Which is insane.
Yeah.
So that really tells you about teams wanting Baker on their squad, and there's just maybe the value isn't there. I don't know. It's a total mess, though. I could tell you that.
Would you consider? I mean, so my friend Troy, Troy. He loves Baker. He likes Baker. He thinks
I love Baker too.
Getting a raw end of the deal here. He did struggle with injuries. From my perspective, though, he's kind of a bust. He's kind of a bust. I haven't seen. He's taken first overall the same year that Josh Allen was taken, and all those other quarterbacks. He's been serviceable. I don't think he's been horrible, and I felt like they had a pretty good team around him. I know the injury bug hit him last year, but I don't know. I mean, I get why they're moving on from Baker. I don't get I don't get the Deshaun Watson move at all. you have Baker under contract for another year, and maybe you use that money to bring some other talent around him. I mean,
right.
And let now that he's healthier, let's give him one more year. I would have done that if it was me, but who knows what's going on over there. And the only thing I can say is that I don't know who they're going to replace in those commercials, but I think Josh Allen. We're going to see Josh Allen in a lot more
progressive
commercials going forward. Josh Allen's a star. I mean, after the loss to Kansas City, oh my God, the guy was all over the place. You saw him everywhere, golf courses, shows. He was interviewed by everybody that is somebody, and I think you're going to see him a lot now. He might even be over there on the Jake from State Farm, the State Farm commercials. I can see him there going with Mahomes, right? And so we'll see what happens there. But
I love the memes going around with Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers because they lost their top targets. Saying like State Farm didn't protect them or whatever, and it shows a picture of Pat Mahomes on the ground with his helmet up and Aaron Rodgers on the ground. It is pretty comical.
I didn't see that at all. That's funny.
Yeah, it's great. Going back to Baker, I do want to talk about this a little bit. So, you already called him a bust a little bit. And I think you have to redefine that term a little bit because I think there's levels of it, right? You have a first overall pick like Jamarcus Russell. Now that's a bust. That's an all-time bust. Yeah. Baker isn't at that level. No. I mean, he had some success in Cleveland. I think teams got film on him. I think they also realized that he has his weaknesses where, a lot of his balls get batted down. He looks at his receiver, stares him down a little bit. Sometimes he plays the game a little reckless, throws a lot of interceptions. So I think teams started to learn that they could take advantage of that and they can get into his head a little bit. He plays very emotional, similar to Josh, but Josh can sort of reel it in at times. And he also has a laser rocket arm, most gifted quarterback in the league right now. So totally different. Baker's 6 feet tall, maybe 6'1" on a good day. And
depending on the cleats,
banged up.
Depending on the type of cleat he's wearing.
Depending on the cleats, right. Yeah. So there's a little bit of a difference there. I don't think he's a total bust at this moment. I'm not going to say that about him. I think he's put up some solid years. He's gotten a little bit of a bad break, I think, over the last 2 seasons. But yeah, I mean, you got to deliver. And I think the Browns, they're ready to win now. And that's sort of what they're trying to do with Deshaun Watson if he plays. Yeah. But is it a good move to guarantee all that money and to deal with all the BS, from the fan base and with his lawsuits going on? Kind of says a little bit about the management's character. But they supposedly say they did a lot of vetting on him. But what is that? I mean, how much vetting do you really do on a guy like that? What makes you take that risk, I guess? I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, you're upsetting a lot of the fan base, first of all. I mean, you're right. I don't want to get into all the details of his case, but when you have that many women come forward, it definitely puts people...
It can't all be lying.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
it puts people in that mindset. They all can't be lying. You always think about, it's a couple, they're going after the money, but with that many... And so you're already upsetting a lot of the female base over there already. And, some of the guys as well. So the fan base is in an uproar, and it's a complete mess. I think that was just a huge, huge mistake. Like I said, put that money towards somebody around Baker. You have him under contract. Give him another year and see what happens. But, it is what it is. But, hey, I'm happy we're not in that situation.
I was going to say, I'm glad we're not in that situation.
I'm happy we're not in that situation. I do not like the fact that we're once again Super Bowl favorites. Don't put us at 1, put us at 2 or 3. I want us to slip from Vegas just a little bit, please. Right. I don't like us being favorites because we saw how that panned out last year in the early parts of the season where we struggled. We're like, oh my God, we put it together in the end and just had one of the best playoff games that you'll ever see. Unfortunately, we were on the wrong end of that once again, but this is going to be a great year. I'm so excited. I can't wait for it to get here, see how these free agents pan out. And then, of course, the draft, which is happening within about a month. And we're going to be, Jake and I are going to be coming back to you strong with some pre-draft shows. Again, we'll do some more mock drafts, and we hope to keep the series going with some of the videos as far as draft targets go. Like I said, go check them out. We did 5 on corners, and then I hope to do a few wide receivers and possibly some other positions as well. It all depends. We have full-time jobs. It's hard for us to take the time. But
I'm
we love
taking
doing
it
it.
up, Mike. I am slacking. I've been bad. I was supposed to get some receiver videos out, so that's on me.
It's all right. So I understand. Life gets in the way, man. Totally understand it. Anyhow, it's great to see you out on the channel, Antonio. Vlad, appreciate you, man. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I'd like to see you back again. I think that kind of closes it out. We had a nice hour and a half. Feels good to be talking football with you again, Jake. Any closing thoughts for you?
Yeah. I was just going to say one last thing about the AFC West. I'm just glad we're not in the AFC West. We'll let those guys beat up on each other. They might have a 9-8 team going to the playoffs because they're just going to, they're going to even out that whole series and just let them have fun. You got Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, and Pat Mahomes and Russell Wilson now. So have fun. I'm glad we're not in that division. I feel good about us. And maybe we get that 1 seed this year, Mike.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at our schedule, it's harder than it was last year. It's a difficult schedule. And I'm excited about this year because, first of all, the Bills are coming to LA to play the Rams.
Yeah.
I am an hour and 20 minutes away from that stadium. I will be at SoFi. I've been wanting to go to SoFi. I even told my son, hey, if the Bills make it to the Super Bowl, we're going. But then I looked at those ticket prices and I had to backtrack on to my son because he's all excited. He's like, yeah, Dad, we going to Super Bowl? And I was like, only if we win. And I was like, shoot, I looked at those ticket prices and I would have had to backtrack with him like, dude, we can't afford $5,000 tickets.
Now at least we have an idea, right?
Yeah. But for a regular season game, we're going to be there. He's excited about it. I still haven't gotten him to have the Bills as his number one team, obviously sticking with the Ravens. And I appreciate that. I mean, that's his team and he's sticking with them. And the Bills are at number 2. But I'm excited about the season. We got a lot of stuff ahead of us. Like I said, mock drafts. We're going to do, we'll do a schedule prediction. We'll go through the schedule and talk about the teams that we got to play and try to predict, what our record's going to be. AFC is obviously the hardest conference right now. And again, I think I mentioned in the show or before the show that one of our guys on the channel here, Rick, who is a huge Ravens fan, he's like, how can the Ravens transfer over to the NFC? Get us the hell out of the AFC. This AFC is stacked. It's going to be a lot of exciting football. So, Jake, I appreciate your time today. It's been fun. We will talk soon. We'll get some of those videos pushed out for you folks. And again, if you haven't already, please hit, drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. We greatly appreciate it. Everyone else, enjoy your Sunday, and we'll see you soon. Take care, Jake.
All right, go Bills.